YouTube strike right out of the gate. Welcome, everybody. This is Monday morning. It's 11-ish, and we are beaming out on a couple different places. So let us know if this is working for you. And here we go. Okay, so it is September 19th. Holy Moses, 2023. Time flies. This is the Tattoo Weekly, Season 2, Episode 5 or 6. I'll get the numbers in here appropriately. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Gabe Ripley with Fawn, and Lauren is still coming back from California from the Los Angeles convention. So she'll be doing double shows in the future. But no, thanks again for watching. This is the Tattoo Weekly, where we talk about tattoo news, tattoo conventions, and interview people sometimes. We might have Mickey coming in later. And we just got back from conventions. Fawn's got one she came back from. I just came back from one. So, okay, if this is working, and again, these are live streams, so please let us know. And then we'll be checking the comments and whatnot. And I will get this officially started here. Give me 1 second. Okay, welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join into these live streams, to meet us at real-world events, to share with each other, to inspire each other, ultimately to create better art and tattoos together. We're beaming out all the time with your help, and these shows are getting great reviews, so thank you very much for watching. It's like the reality TV that you want to see, or that we want to make, I guess. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo in these fine places, either the app stores, that's Apple or Google, on YouTube, on the Roku, or in all of the major podcast stations, Apple or Spotify. Just do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo, and it's updating probably 4 times a week, and with all of these great shows. No matter where you're watching from in any of those awesome places, either live or on demand, you can always check out the latest and greatest reinventing info at reinventingthetattoo.com. It's like the real estate, reinventingthetattoo.com. There's a free newsletter there that you can join. We're not going to spam you. If you're an artist, you can give your goals. So I think there's a list of, 12 different goals. You could check off the check boxes, and then Guy has set aside some emails so that he'll send, you'll get some emails that address videos and whatnot for your goals. Okay. The event schedule is there on the homepage. So you can see all of the other different live streams that are going on. When there's links to join in with the Zooms, that's where they are, reinventingthetattoo.com. And then let's see here. What do we got? Last show today is Tuesday. Last show was Monday. Oh, last Monday night is the Reinventing subscribers get together. They get together every 9 o'clock every Monday to do exercises based out of the Reinventing the Tattoo curriculum. So you should definitely subscribe. So let's see. Weekly staple shows that you could always beam into at 1 p.m. on Sundays is the Reinventing Drawing Group with Jason Leeser. Mondays at 9 a.m. is Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom. At 5 p.m. is Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple. 9 p.m. on Mondays, these are all Eastern, is the Reinventing the Tattoo subscribers. Tuesday at 11 a.m., that's this spot right now, is the Tattoo Weekly. Hey, that's this show. And then Thursdays at 6 p.m. is the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast with Fawn. Often from Red Tree or tattoo conventions around the world. Real quick, I want to thank our sponsors. WorldTattooEvents.com is the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. Alex Van Dutch updates tons of conventions information. It's almost impossible to keep up. It is impossible to keep up. I tried at one point. Now he's got videos that are pretty cool, so you should check out his new YouTube channel. Okay, Tattoo Now. I do technology for tattooers. I'm looking for a couple more clients. So if you're interested in technology as well as documentation and business roundtable meetings, we're kind of doing it all as opposed to just doing everything piecemeal. Anyways, tattoonow.com or get in touch. Please leave positive reviews on the channels to help us get the word out there. Constructive criticism is more than welcome at management at reinventingthetattoo.com, or even better, sponsorship options and opportunities if you're interested in supporting the show or have some good ideas for shows or want to do a show. Oh, man. Okay, there's the intro. Fawn, is it working? Oh, shit, it is. There's 11 people watching. I can see this from the thing here. And people are in the chat room. I could post up the chats here. So we've got James Wisdom says, good morning, James. You win a morning spot as a host on a morning show in Reinventing, 9 o'clock every Monday. And it looks like Mickey is also watching. Oh, he says he needs the link. That was probably meant for private. Anyways, I'll get Mickey the link. So 11:30 we'll bring him on. I'm gonna pass the mic over to Fawn. Woof.
Thanks for the intro, Gabe. It's a lot of words, and you get them out a lot better than I could have.
Yeah,
Mm.
we need to revise it one more time, but yeah, I'm getting used to it by now.
Yeah,
Hopefully, let us know how I could change it, everybody, please. How are you doing?
pretty good. We've got this high lifestyle show coming up, and it's one of those things. I'm such a procrastinator slash like I live in the week. Like my schedule is booked out months. I usually like look in the week. So long story short, it snuck up on me, and I've got
Uh,
so much stuff I've got to do over the next couple of days. Um, you
Woo!
know, I I usually road trip everywhere, so I've got a big vehicle for all of my things, and if I need to pull over and sleep, I've got a place to sleep and all the travel things. So I dropped my van off yesterday. It's getting new tires, mechanical check over, all the things. And then I believe if everything goes right, James Wisdom will be meeting me here in Columbus, and we'll be riding over together. So
That's what I talked to him yesterday, and we should talk after the show. Maybe you could pick me up on the way over. I'm still proudly carless, but that's a little inconvenient when I've got to get to a show in a couple days. But no, it's going to be a fun. The programming. There's so much music going on. There's comedians. The guy from Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here. Dante is going to be there. There's a couple lawyers, I think, that are coming, and I know that I'm bringing a couple of good friends. One of them's he's like a gym teacher, politician, cannabis enthusiast, tattoo aficionado, and yeah. Anyways, this is it's going to be fun. It's coming right up to your point. I was like, I can't believe I'm helping out with a show that's 3 weeks before the tattoo gathering. On the other hand, it's actually kind of good to like do a show, a small, the tattooing component. It'll be a smaller
kind
than
of like a warm
Paradise.
up.
It's like a warm up though, so it's
How
dust it
many
all off,
tattooers are
and
going to be at this show?
there's probably be about 15 is will
Okay,
be
nice.
the final count, and so they should all be pretty busy. Again, it's going to be a lot of music fans and cannabis fans, obviously, and NRBQ is going to be there. Fortunate Youth. Anyways, it's
Nice.
yeah, it's
I
not
was
too
trying to
late to.
work it out so that I could spend 2 days starting a weed themed sleeve on a friend of mine,
Mm,
but that hasn't worked out. So I'll be doing a whole bunch of, I'll have some little like, how I've been doing like the wigwags based on glass art. So I'll have some little
awesome.
designs like those ready to go. I might even bring some of my glass art with me and just be like, "Do you want me to tattoo something like this on you?" And call it a day.
I
Like
think
instead of
that
having flash sitting out, just have my marble collection and my cups and my like
mm-hmm.
rigs and stuff. Be like, which one of those pulls your trigger? Okay, do a tattoo like
Yes.
that.
About a month out, and again, this one's kind of coming together. It's the first year of the show too, or first year of the tattoo component of it. But a month out, I was like, oh, if we could get ahead of the ball in this, there's so many opportunities for collaboration with like the fans. The
Hmm.
fans of the bands, the fans of the again of Clerks or of any of the movies and or any cannabis culture kind of it's kind of like I usually get so dorked out on the Paradise Gathering, which is all about like education and inspiration, and everyone has a good time, of course, but that's what the focus is. And this it took me a little bit to shift my mindset over to wait, this is actually like a good time. It's
I
not
feel
about
like
you know
I saw that I know that Tom Strom's going to be there, and he's one of my like favorite artists. I've got so many of his original paintings. I love his work. But
mm-hmm,
anyways, I feel like the last couple of years when we were at Jiminy Peak, I do a whole lot of stuff with you, like all the technical stuff and helping broadcast the seminars and things like that. So this year I'm like, should I take a break and actually get tattooed? I haven't been tattooed in a while.
oh yeah, have you
So
talked to Tom about getting tattooed or
this is an idea I just started kicking around literally this morning. So
mm-hmm.
it's one of those like, should I? I feel
Yeah.
like I need to talk to you first and figure out what our schedule is going to be like. And then if it's a good
Well,
opportunity, get
if you're gonna
tattooed.
get
But if not, I
tattooed, I
could
couldn't
travel
think
to
of.
them anytime.
Fair enough, but I mean, you know how to gauge your time, right? Sunday's the
Mhm.
best day, of course, because it's the last day. But on the other hand, yeah, if you want to get tattooed by Tom, and he's got time and it's convenient. So he'll be at the tattoo gathering. This is October 12th to the 15th, and he'll be tattooing. And I know that one of the other fellas, Dan, I think, has just booked a little bit of time with him. So yeah, his art is out of control.
I, I love talking about Tom's work because he's like clearly a new school artist. He's just like a creepy new school, like his own take on new school. But I feel like his imagination and my imagination are in the same realm.
Mm-hmm.
Like where I get carried away with spaces, it's almost like he not only builds the space, but he tells this creepy little story within the space. And he does all these creepy deer. So like, of course I gotta get a creepy deer or something like that from him.
Oh yeah, the people should definitely check out the Fireside. Maybe we could click on a link or somewhere at some point. Um, Fireside. Jake just did a great interview with Tom and Jackie, and
Nice.
they've got great brains. And
Yeah,
what was
Jackie
it?
made a really nice post I was watching earlier today, kind of promoting her seminar and what she was going to be teaching at the show. And, until I watched this little reel this morning, I thought she was working in oils all along. And she's like, we're going to be doing acrylic, da da da. I was like, oh, what? It kind of just blew my mind. I thought she
You
was
know,
working with oils.
I bet if she had a recorder that she went around with and recorded everybody that said, "I thought you worked in oils." Wait, seriously, that's acrylics. She could have, probably half the people that she talks to, is like, really, that's acrylics.
Hmm.
And they are brilliant too. Here, yeah, let me fire her work up too while we're here. Um,
I just love his use of like the surreal use of color. It's still believable. You still believe these characters could exist and these spaces could exist. But bluegrass, really?
yeah, yeah.
Purple atmosphere. I just love it. It's like creepy and whimsical at the same time. Like it's macabre, but like sweet. I don't
Uh
know.
huh. Oh, look at that. Yeah, yeah. He, yeah, and obviously his original and his pop-ups. I mean, anybody that's following him on his Instagram is seeing all the pop-up artwork that he's been working on.
Hmm.
And it's amazing just watching everybody's work in the different mediums, right? I suppose, and how it helps them helps artists realize visions that they have without the limitations of clients and skin. But then the clients see it, that original art, that the artists are pulling out of their heads, and then it turns into, or it helps guide the clientele into, well, I'd like to get either that or something like that. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll be talking with tattooers who are very busy, and they're like booked months out, busy, and they'll talk about how they want to tattoo like their original art. But what I really want to do is my original art, and I'm like, you're booked out 6 months. Like, why don't you just say I'm not accepting any new clients except for somebody who wants to get, my painting of a bird teacup, with,
I know it's a
flowers.
funny thing. Even for me, it kind of took, when I started working at Red Tree, I was in the middle of getting my back piece done by Russ. So in that period of my life, I had a lot of like awesome influence from Derb and Russ at the same time. And man, I forget where I was going with this. I haven't even hardly smoked any weed today. The permission. It was almost like in that period of my life, there are all these things that I wanted to try and I wanted to do. And having two people of that caliber that I looked up to that much at that time that were just like basically giving me permission to do things left and right, where like, well, I just felt like I needed to schedule everybody who wants me to work on them because like I owe them that respect. And when my thinking has gradually turned to like if people want me to work on them, shouldn't they want my work? Like why would
Mhm.
you wait months for me to work on you to do something in the style of somebody totally different? Like if you're going to wait for me to work on you, like let's do my style. Like if you're going to wait for me, let's do me. But it was definitely a slow evolution with a lot of prodding from two different people that I really looked up to at the time to really kind of, you know, not necessarily take every single thing, but take the things that were going to kind of push my own work further. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I can only do a pocket watch so many different ways. And if I'm bored of doing pocket watches so many different ways, then I probably shouldn't do any more pocket watches.
Sure. No, absolutely. And, it takes sometimes, well, I guess one of my questions would be like, how long in your career was it for you to be like, I can do that, right? I mean, is it, when in the beginning there's both the
Eight,
need to
nine
actually just,
years probably.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I should have like much early on, like you can see like my style throughout, but like if earlier on I would have had like a mentor or somebody that I looked up to that just said like, well, there are here's how I look at it right now, and I wish somebody would have told me this when I was younger, but like in the Columbus area, there are hundreds of tattooers, if not thousands, in the Columbus area alone. So if somebody wants something that's not in my wheelhouse, there's definitely an artist around here that can do it. So, in this community, why not specialize in just the things that I want to do and just the things that I want to push further? Um, because there's another artist down the street that specializes in the thing that they're asking for. Or if they're asking for like, street style walk-in kind of tattoos, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's also over 100 shops in Columbus. So, if I don't have to do every one because there's probably a more suitable artist across town to do exactly what they want. Or there might be an artist who is just starting out and they need to meet more people, and sometimes those are the best relationships to make, is to make a relationship with a small piece with an artist at a walk-in shop, and then now you've got a new artist for the rest of your life. And sometimes it takes like, you know, not just going to this name that somebody recommended on Facebook, but actually like going to the artist that does the thing that you want, or going to an artist because you love their artwork and then you allow them to tattoo their artwork on you.
And how long, I mean, I guess you talk a lot about this on the tattoo collecting podcast. How long, or what does it take for like a collector, to kind of get to the point where they would even, kind of know what to look for, right? I mean, I just think about myself and like the first couple tattoos. I knew I wanted to get tattooed, so I got tattooed. But it took for me to get like a really bad tattoo where I'm looking at the feathers and the bird. I'm like, the feathers are not supposed to do stuff like that. Like, I had utter faith in the tattooer that I was like, I can't believe they got the feathers wrong. And then, all of a sudden, but I also wasn't very sophisticated with looking at art, So I'm wondering, or I guess one question is like, how many people even understand art, or are there ways that they could ease into it so that they don't get a bunch of like just bad artwork as they experiment?
That's a huge motivation to why we even started doing our podcast to begin with, because like sometimes there are some lessons that like you can only learn the hard way. But when it comes to getting tattooed, like there's no such thing as an emergency tattoo. So you always have time to do your homework. Like if you feel pressured to get a tattoo in the moment, you probably shouldn't necessarily get it unless it's like a group thing and there's sentimental meaning behind it. And it's one of those like, if you don't do this thing now, you can't ever. Like outside of those situations, you know, for me, I think about it as almost like a self-respect. You wouldn't let just anybody cut your hair. You want to go to somebody who's good and knows how to cut your hair the way that you like your hair cut. Why wouldn't you do at least that much homework for your tattoo? A tattoo lasts your whole life. A haircut lasts a few months.
In my case, my wife does the research to make sure I get a good haircut. But point taken.
Well, sometimes you got to reach out to another tattooed friend and ask for advice too. Some people don't have a heavily tattooed friend to be like, hey, what are the pitfalls? What are the mistakes? And again, that's the motivation for our show, is because there's not a lot of places to really find that information. There's not a lot of places to really like, you know, okay, I can look at this artist's portfolio, but what am I looking for? Like, oh, those all look like good tattoos to the untrained eye, but like, are they the kind of tattoos you want? You
Right.
know,
So I did get some life out of Mickey.
Mhm.
So I am sending him the links now. And if he gets them and he sets it up, we might not even be late. So now you were just at a tattoo convention over the weekend.
No, this weekend I wasn't. I was here
This
in
weekend, we were,
Columbus
we were
working.
talking about the upcoming conventions, is what you were talking about on the topics.
Yeah. Yep.
Got
Yep.
it. First,
Got.
first second there, I thought you were out in LA with Lauren. I did go to the Boston Tattoo Convention this last weekend with the Boston Tattoo Company. So I do have a little bit of a tattoo convention report. But you know me, like I walk the floor, and then as soon as especially I still haven't caught the bug. I'm not fucking planning on catching the bug. As soon as the doors opened up and people started filing in, I'm like, okay, time for me to boogie the hell out of here. But I
You
was able to
know,
work.
I like that I can always find you on the outskirt of the event. You're always like watching what's going on, like a proud papa with your iPad. If you ever want to find Gabe Ripley, just step out of the
Yeah,
crowd and
you
like
know,
just look right to left, and
I'll
you'll
be,
probably find
I'll
him.
be, I'll be out in the smoke pit, but it was fun. It was great. They had like 10 booths, so they had a lot of space, and the big framework, and they had a big TV screen. And so I was in there kind of last minute, hammering away with some of the video stuff with Jason Zuby. He just secured a location right there on Newberry Street for the Boston Tattoo Company, and I don't know how I'm 50 years old and I've lived in Massachusetts for probably 30 of them, and like I knew Newberry Comics, but Newberry Comics was in like Cambridge, and it was kind of it was kind of cool, but like.
Mhm.
I guess Newberry Street is like fucking Newberry Street. There's like so many people. There's so many restaurants, so many stores. It's like I don't know. It's almost like a little bit of like I don't want to say it's like New York City or parts of New York City and Boston because it's very Boston. There's trees. It's nice. Anyways, uh, he has a new location that's like smack, and it took years to kind of, it's old Boston,
Mhm.
right? So in America, it's hard to get like more, old Boston. Anyways, point is, it was a fun show, and then somebody had recognized me from the Tattoo Weekly, and I felt a little bit bad, because he said, oh, I caught my eye. I said, hey, talked to him a little bit, and it's like, have we met? He's like, no, but I see you on the videos. Like, oh, great. And anyways, it was fun. And then yeah. Anyways, Mickey is here on the line here, so let me click the buttons. And sometimes we're doing a little bit of a um, technical test at the same time as we're going out. But it feels like people are still watching. More people are watching now than they were before. It's crazy.
Good morning.
Mickey, good morning. How are you?
Hey.
Hey. Yeah, it looks like this works perfectly. How you doing, Mickey?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. So, just a quick introduction. You've been a quick introduction when I haven't done all of my fact checking, and a lot of it blurs together. I don't even remember when we met. So, you've been tattooing well over 10 years, maybe close to 20. Over 20?
It depends on how you count.
Oh, it
If you
doesn't.
count,
No, you don't count. You don't count your. If it's that close to 20, you don't count your apprentice years.
no, I had a couple of years that were like off the books, and then after I was in for a couple of years, I took a year or two to like I was painting cars and
Got it. Well, I
doing
would say the years that you were working inside count, but the years you were painting cars don't. Anyways, it doesn't make a difference. So close to 20
still
years.
close to 20.
And part of one of the things I really appreciate about Mickey is that the mindset. He's always fascinated with learning, always taken classes from various people inside the tattoo world, but also outside of the tattoo world. Very, very geeky. I don't know what geeks look like. We don't know what geeks look like anymore, but Mickey is one. And there's times where I'm working with him on the computer stuff. I'm like, that's a great idea. And then the next week, before I even have a chance to advance it at all, he's like, oh yeah, I got it halfway programmed and ready to review. Anyways, so Mickey, thank you for hopping on the Tattoo Weekly. This is where we talk about tattoo news, conventions, and whatnot. So thanks for hopping on, and let us know a little bit about what you've been up to recently, and we'll start the conversation.
So my name's Mickey, and recently I've been reevaluating my whole approach, which has been probably more strongly on the walk-in side or customer service side, I guess I would call it, and trying to move into more like full custom and work on that, like much bigger pieces. And this year, what I've been getting into more is, I would call it image creation. So the reference images that I've already burned out. I'm trying to make some of that stuff again from scratch, so that I have my own images to work from in the future.
So,
And
and you're using a whole mess of tools for that,
yeah, I use a
right?
ton.
So, and you're
If
into
it's
the
out
AI
there, yeah,
tools,
I've
and
tried it. If it's out there, I've tried it, and definitely a lot of it is way overkill for tattooing. If I
sure.
could,
Well,
I might.
for let's prove the overkill. Can you list off the top of your head how many different techie tools can you list off the top of your head that you've experimented with?
Oh, I
Because
mean,
you know,
in my taskbar, I have Marmoset Tool Bag, which is a rendering program, Unreal Engine, which I'm trying to get into but haven't gotten very far with, Character Creator, which helps develop characters, create humans, ZBrush, which is like the main one that I really like. I also use the Substance programs from Adobe, um, but most of that is still I'm learning it, and the interactions between the different programs has been the biggest stumbling block for me. Like, you can open any of
from
these programs with a demo project and like work through it, and that's pretty easy, but getting from something that you made from scratch to the next, to the rendering engine, or to whatever step has to come next,
yeah,
is
it's pretty
something
geeky.
very confusing. Yeah.
And now, I know, have you experimented with like Mid Journey and some of the
Oh
AI
yeah.
image?
I
Oh
play with
yeah,
the AI all the time. And one thing that I think I'm getting ready to launch a YouTube channel that's just like a bunch of art and tech tricks that I've learned
awesome.
in the last 20 years. I probably won't
Mm-hmm.
a lot about tattooing specifically, but a lot about drawing, a lot about art, a lot of stuff that other tattooers need. And one of the things that I think is most important to me that I want to do is a video on thumbnailing, and just like generating more ideas for yourself before you actually take the leap to like make a drawing that you're going to put on somebody. Like, get all those ideas in. And so I like doing that. I like doing a lot of little messy sketches, but also Midjourney, or there's a bunch of different engines. And then once you put Chat GPT to help you write your prompts for Midjourney, um,
Mm-hmm.
you can really kind of, I wouldn't say replace, but certainly augment the stencil or the thumbnailing process, to where
Yeah. So
there's
like,
a ton of
uh,
ideas.
where in the past you're like thumbnailing, rough sketches and volumes and perspectives and whatnot, but now kind of with some of these image rendering engines, you could be like, give me 4 of these, like
Yeah,
this, and
and especially like if a person is more of a realism artist and you've been through every lion photo that everybody else has also
mm-hmm.
been through on Google, you're almost better off generating your own wildlife images, portraits of beautiful girls, like whatever your thing that you need to put in your tattoo. At least like you're gonna be able to find some reference images that are not heavily picked over.
Sure. And kind of to your point, or to a lot of other people's points, right? So I hear a lot of tattooers when they talk about using reference and justifying with like, well, I could pick the third rose off of the Google because it's like I'm doing interpreting it myself when I'm redrawing it or whatever. And part of it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of true. But if I could tell you that it's the third rose off of the second page of the Google rose, and you didn't,
Yeah,
but when you're having the AI generate like 6 different roses, and obviously the artists will criticize them like it doesn't quite look perfect. Well, that's why you, as artists, you translate it, right? You take that AI and use it as reference. When you redraw it, you make sure there's 5 fingers instead of 6, or whatever the AI flaws might be.
yeah, you don't have to take, all of it is a tool to expand your own creativity, and to make it stronger and faster. So it's not that you have to or even should take anything directly and reuse it, but you should take it and retranslate it. And the more input you have, the more output you can have.
Now, how do you feel about clients digging into the AI tools, right? So this is now, there's always been a shared back and forth between the tattooer and the client. The clients are often bringing reference, sometimes just other tattoos, and then you have to explain we don't want to rip off other people's tattoos. Sometimes it's realistic, realistic to tattoo. not realism in nature, but like sometimes it's tattooable, sometimes it's not. Do you think that now that clients can, would you recommend, clients go and to the AI and be like, draw, make me a sleeve of a Lord of the Flies,
No, I
collage?
definitely, there's a few problems with that. And the main problems would be that like the AI doesn't know anything about tattooing rules, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to make everything proper, everything flow right, or everything just in the same way that somebody else would. And then if a client gets in there and looks at it and finds an image that they really like, they're most likely to, or in my experience, most likely to try to get you to copy that image. So if they're in the same position as me, whereas like, hey, let's look up these ideas and then make a cool tattoo, I don't have as much of a problem with it. But
Yeah.
if they're like, hey, I printed this thing off and I want that, like I say no to that twice a week.
Awesome. So we have Fawn back, but real quick, sorry, Fawn, we do have a Bruno comment. Really interested in seeing about that thumbnail process. To which I might say, you guys have an opportunity to catch up at Paradise and review your thumbnail process, Mickey.
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna take a bunch of sketches that I have in Procreate that I just have like the videos for, and put them into like a 10-minute video with a voiceover, and then probably sit down with a project where I actually like talk through like, hey, you can look at this one bird and make 3 to 5 other birds. You don't have to like copy this bird.
Oh, Fawn, I think you're muted, maybe.
I had a consultation with somebody the other day, and she kept saying there was a lot of symbolism in this. She wanted a sunset, which is right up my alley, but she wanted 7 birds floating away. She wanted them to be white birds. But we got so far in the conversation, and I was like, okay, so I understand everything you're asking for, but like right now, there is a decision that needs to be made, and it's not a huge decision, but it's a decision for you to make, not me. I was like, do you want these to be white birds, or do you want them to be silhouettes of birds? And she was like, well, can't we just do like a white outline so that you know that they're white? I was like, that's not how it's really gonna like look right when we're going for like realism. So I had to pull up some photo references to show her like what she was imagining in her mind. It was a combination of 2 ideas, and we can do either the silhouette or we can do white birds, like with eyes and more details, and but we can't do both. It's like I had to explain that it was one or the other, and to watch her have the like aha moment of like, oh, that's how reality works. You know what I mean? Um, it's funny when, like, the idea's there, but to have the to have the moment where you explain, like, "Yeah, that's a cool idea," or "That's a cool illustration," or "That's a cool thing," but that's not gonna make a cool tattoo. We need to adjust it so it actually makes a cool, readable tattoo that's gonna, like, make sense to the viewer, not just you. Um, in that instance, that wasn't AI, but I feel like that's going to be the same thing that we start running into with AI is like, yes, the computer generated this, but that's not how reality works. That's
That
not proper photography,
absolutely,
that's not proper placement.
especially when it comes, when the tighter the details you get, and you look in there and you're like, why is there a train in the hair?
Yeah.
Like, so it can do some pretty wild stuff. But I also think that like on a whole, um, anytime this new technology rolls out, they're not putting they're not putting it back in the can. So
Hmm.
it's going to be there and people are going to use it. And my personal thought about all of the AI stuff, and because I use a bunch of stuff that's like has to do with animation and rendering, um, those tools are all made to like make us more uh, ability, give people more ability to bring your ideas to life, right?
Hmm.
So being able to use all that stuff is more likely to help turn you into a bigger, fuller studio able to create more things faster than it is going to take your job.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is when we're talking about AI, whether it's us, the artists creating it, or our clients creating it through the prompt, you still have the like I said earlier, you've still got the hoops to go through to find an artist that can execute it. Like creating the image is only a small fraction of the battle, like maybe 15 or 20%. Now you have execution. You can have a wonderful idea, but if you don't find the artist that can pull that idea off, you have a mediocre or even a bad tattoo. So that's where I think AI is going to raise the expectations so high that there are going to be a lot of artists that aren't going to be able to keep up with those expectations. And
Yeah,
Well,
no, it's
that's
kind of
where
well,
you got to find
for
the
sure.
right tattooer.
I don't necessarily. I think that I th- I think that that has a lot to do with how people apply themselves, right? So,
Mhm.
if you can draw what you can see and you can get it on paper, then that shouldn't be a problem. And you can put if you can put shapes together and learn to draw, then again, not a problem, right? Like you still have to be able to trace and color and render and make things look like they're three-dimensional in space and all of that. But like, I guess the way that I would look at it is like you can then split up your process, right? You can spend more time learning those basics. I was 15 years in and then started actually taking classes on like what are the basics of drawing.
Mhm.
Like, and these
Mhm.
guys are like, okay, fill up these 3 sketchbooks of like straight lines, curved lines, and S curves, and then trace back over them 8 times each. And like, don't let those lines get any fatter. And like,
Mhm.
doing really, really basic things. Well, let's work on shapes. Let's work on how to, turn make a random shape look like it's 3-dimensional by just using like contour lines and stuff like that. So if you can then break down your process to where, okay, I'm going to really focus on the basics and I'm going to let the machine help me augment the design and idea process, and then I sprinkle those basics in with good design and good tattoo design and some of these ideas over here, then I can put it together to give the client something that I couldn't have come up with on my own. They couldn't have come up with
Yeah.
on their own,
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yep.
Then you start
And
using the other tricks, right? You use the geometric app to make a giant pattern of your own geometric stuff, and then you use that as in like a single color as a graphic element over the rest of your design, so it fades in, and like you start taking all these things and putting them together, and it makes it extremely powerful. I feel really bad because none of this shit that I'm talking about is in this portfolio.
yeah,
A lot
it's
of these
okay.
tools
You
I'm
know, it's
just
a
learning, but
it's all from a couple of years ago. It's still, it all is looking pretty awesome. To the conversation about the AI and how it works, right? Um, it feels like almost in most of the cases, at least right now, like the AI could beat us at chess, it could beat us at Go, it could now pass like a legal bar, although a legal bar is probably one of the lowest of the AI tests that it could go through. But I guess the main point is, but if you put a human being matched up with AI, with a chess AI, beats all of the AIs and the people, right? Same thing with Go. Like so people matched up with AI are the pinnacle of where that efficiency and output is. So I guess for better or worse, it feels like I know a lot of tattooers who are probably better at rendering. I mean, that's kind of, somebody comes
yeah,
in, they have an image, I could render this image, I could render that image. A Frank Franzetta back piece comes in. Yeah, I could do a really awesome Frank Franzetta back piece. I couldn't paint a Frank Franzetta back piece, but I could tattoo a Frank Franzetta back piece. And for those artists, and again, I don't know, I don't want to have like a ranking, but for the artists that are kind of in the middle-ish, that are like basically tattooing what could come in or what they could see, now that Midjourney could spit out a Frank Franzetta style back piece, it's not, it's not a Frank Franzetta. It's not the same back piece. It's something that's new, inspired. That artist would never be able to necessarily come up with some of that, but they could definitely tattoo it and give it justice. Um,
there's I agree with that, and I definitely look up a lot of like Art Nouveau stuff that I'm,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm looking for certain graphic elements, and I definitely look for stuff styled in a certain way. I think that gets a little more into the gray area of like, is it right? But at the end of the day, I had gone to an art seminar one time, or a seminar about selling your art somewhere that I used to live, and they were talking about it as like the only value that any kind of art you create has is between the person creating it and the person buying it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like everybody
Yeah.
else is visual whatever. So like can you
Mm-hmm.
stop anybody from using this? Can we have enough conversations to stop people from using this? I don't believe that that's possible either. I don't think we could stop it, or
No, I
I don't
mean,
think we could to stop or anything.
I mean, I mean, in the general AI conversation, there's definitely a very important space for regulation, right? Like, we don't want to have a open source. I mean, it could do a lot of harm. But to your point, as far as like image creation and whatnot, for me, I do feel like if tattooers are relying heavily upon artist specific AI, again, if somebody's typing in Frank Frazetta half sleeve or sleeve and using that to design a sleeve that looks sick, send some money to his estate or something, I guess, or I don't know exactly. Like, we got to figure out a way for the artists to still create the images to feed into the engine. And as tattooers, you're in this weird spot in between where it's like, again, for decades, you've been taking the stuff that people come in, tattooing it, they walk out the door, you get paid for it. Like, no harm, no foul. That's the way it works,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It gets crazy now that there's some, there's new visions being created off of both living and dead artists' work
And the
to
and
to
the,
gen.
the other question I would propose there is how many generations away from it does it have to get for it to be
Yeah,
okay, right? So say we have Mid Journey ran for 6 months and scraped all the images off the internet and made new images. Now, what about if we make new images from those images and delete all the originals, or the
sure.
third or
Oh,
fourth
geez.
generation of those, where it's just like an amalgamation of like, hey, this is what people like, and people see it as being like visually,
I think
um,
it would get real weird real quick.
yeah, it'll get real weird. But at what point is it like away from those original artists, right? Like those guys wouldn't have gotten to this place either,
hmm
you know?
It's funny because like the way that I use AI, I am I'm very analog. I still like actually like I basically use my iPad to like superimpose pictures on top of one another. Outside of that, I still like draw with a pen and paper. I still like draw with markers on the skin. But with AI, as I'm sitting there having my consultations with my clients, I'll pull up my AI and I use Photo Leap. I should probably upgrade to Mid Journey, but I don't use it super often. But like I just start playing with different prompts and play with the different genres that you can choose. Like if you use the keyword like fantasy nature scene with whatever scene you're trying to build, and then you just like jump down that rabbit hole and keep creating more images. And then now all of a sudden I've got 20 different nature scenes with waterfalls with a tropical background. And I can look at all of them. And then I can go and change a few keywords and I can be like with sunset and turbulent water. And now all of a sudden I've got a beautiful sunset and crashing waves. Are any of these places like tangible or real? No, but now I've got this whole little bank of just things to look at and brainstorm about to then make my own original thing. It's kind of like, I don't know, listening to music before you sit down and compose, or like, what style is this going to be in? Let's listen to this, and this to get us in the mood to make this. So I use it more as like brain candy rather than actual like my where I get my design from. It's more like let's just use this as like eye candy to perpetuate more ideas.
Definitely. I think that that's like a, a great way to describe it, where like, if you're going to go out and draw a rose and you know that you've seen 15 different, whatever you've seen over the course of your life is going to feed into you drawing this rose now, you can sit for a morning and immerse yourself in like, okay, I just want to look at this one thing or things of this type, whether it's a nature scene or a foggy forest or whatever it is. And then, yeah, then you go draw your drawing, and you're going to have all those ideas kind of like floating around. Not that you should like just do one of those ideas, but yeah, you can like, it's brain food. You're feeding yourself the thing that you want to put out, and it's got to go through you to get your filter to come out the way that you would do it. And I think, that's perfect.
I love the idea of using AI as a tool. And like there are some intimidating ideas about it, but I don't think, as a confident artist, I don't think I have anything to worry about with AI. Like, do I feel confident enough that I could make that exact image? Yes. Do I feel confident enough to do enough homework to make sure the image is correct before I tattoo it? One of my personal pet peeves with AI is like let's say you want to do an Aztec warrior. So you type in the prompts Aztec warrior, golden sunshine, gold jewelry, whatever. So you get this Aztec warrior, but all of the jewelry is just like nonsense. None of the symbolism in
Mm-hmm.
it is correct. It's all just like,
Yeah.
half digitized
True.
incorrect things, but you've got a starting point. Like, okay, cool,
Mm-hmm.
that's a warrior. I could build him like this. And then I could take my own knowledge of whatever that is, and I could actually build symbolism that's appropriate. But I've got that starting point. I've got the like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of a cool layout. Let's use that as our springboard and then make it correct.
Yeah, you
Also,
could see. Sorry, oh, sorry.
oh, I was going to say also sometimes in my consultations I ask my clients like, are we just building like a daydream that's inspired by this, or do you want it to be 100% correct? Because if we're just going for a
Mm-hmm.
daydream, we don't need to spend time worrying about little details that don't make a difference to the story. But if you want to tell a specific story, you want to pay homage to specific events, then we got to keep it 100% correct. So,
That's,
as,
yeah.
as important as it is to get it right, sometimes, depending on the project, you can just make a fantasy happen because that's what the client imagines.
Oh yeah, I tell people that all the time. Looks cool is gonna trump like if the perspective is correct every time,
Hmm.
right? Like if it's geometrically like perfectly set in space, is not ever gonna give you as many legs as like, yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, so and this actually, so this is what reminds me a lot of the. You could see the Alex Gray AI, right? And so part of, and I guess I'm processing this as we speak, right? So part of it is like it looks cool. That's why I stop on it. I'm like, oh, that looks cool, but and often with tattooing or with any art, it's like all of the details kind of being in alignment with like the heart or the spirit or the energy of the piece is what really makes the exceptional pieces. And so what frustrates me about the Alex Gray inspired Mid-Journey, is that like you could see the colors and you could see the patterns, but to your point earlier, like when you look at the patterns, there's no life to the patterns. There's no
Hmm.
real flow, or there's a flow in like
It's trying.
positional way, but not in like a meaningful way. You look at an Alex Gray piece and you're like, wait a minute, now I could visualize the way that the invisible energies of the world can be visualized, right? I can see it now, and or I can see visions of it or versions of it. When I look at the cool AI piece, it's like, that looks cool, but like I don't know. Like it's not teaching me anything. I'm not understanding what it's trying. I still don't
Hmm.
understand what it's trying to say, right?
Well, the computer hasn't been to the space that painting came from. It can only
Yet,
emulate the data that
yet.
it sees visually, and
Let's give it 50. Let's
that's
give it
the
50 years.
yeah, that's the cold
Electrical
quality that
computers.
I think that we talk about with the AI is, it hasn't had these experiences. It's only taking these little tiny pieces of data and these little slivers that people have taken the time to upload. And it's only the ones that people have taken the time to upload. It's not the other, 99.5% of life that happens. It's only the little snippets that people choose to
Hmm.
upload. So it doesn't have all the data from old books. It doesn't have old art prints. It only has the digital stuff that people have taken the time to upload. So no matter what, it's skewed because it only has a drop in the bucket to even pull ideas from compared to nature and compared to like
Hmm.
experiencing things in 3D and in real life and in real time.
And that's also, well, I guess I'll just that's where I'm trying to pull in the 3D to, like, if you can create your own whatever, if you use Midjourney to make your Aztec warrior and you make an Aztec warrior, and then you do some studying and you find out about uh, the proper jewelry and weapons to put on, and you make that character, you make that one time, you can use that. You can use these programs now to, like, you can turn it in space, you can look at it, you can light it differently, you can change everything about it, you can make it walk around, and then you can use that as your design for that uh, motif as many times as you want, right? Like you were saying about a pocket watch earlier, you can only do a pocket watch so many ways. But if you have that pocket watch and you can put filigree on it and take it off it and open it and close it and light it and put it on a table or hang it around a neck, or maybe sometime somewhere later somebody needs the face of that pocket watch on the side of a teacup or whatever happens to be going on, now you can actually, like, instead of just drawing them one time and having to draw them different every time you draw, and even though you're drawing like the same thing, there's a lot more time to really get down to the tax of, like, hey, is this piece of jewelry perfect? Is it period correct? What kind of environment do I want it in? And so you're, like, starting to reuse some of these designs, kind of like Flash, but definitely, like, the output of the tattoo would be totally separate, right? Like you can use the same, you can use actually probably the same 5 humans and then different period costumes, right? Say you do Vikings all the time. You make 3 Viking costumes that you can switch between 2 or 3 different male or female characters, and then a couple of different face paints. And all of a sudden you have all of the female warriors with, whatever animal headdress that you could ever do. So yeah, that's where I'm trying to bring the 3D into it. I definitely feel like it's a bit overkill sometimes. So I'm trying to work out how exactly it goes into the tattoo process.
And the cool thing about actually having a 3D rendering, even if I like to call my like my digital stuff, I always call them just mock-ups because it's not really like how my brain works. It's more like the 3D rendering or the mock-up is to show my client my brainstorm. But the cool thing when you have something 3D like this, you have the option to like spin it on an axis, change the angle, change the lighting even.
Camera lens,
For a lot
everything.
of people, they really struggle with how to like light things, and I think that's probably one of the most beneficial tools of digital 3D art. Whatever program you're using to sculpt digitally, you can really start to understand how light is going to work because you can move those lights around and closer to and further from. So, like, even if you don't actually tattoo images out of ZBrush, even if you're just playing with a ball of clay in ZBrush, but then you take time to like play with the lighting on it, now you can start understanding color a little bit better. I don't know, just nerdy little things. Like, as analog as I am, this technology is still a wonderful learning tool, even if you don't tattoo with it
Well, I
or build
definitely, like,
tattoos with it.
I bring up all the time that, like, I have almost no educational background, and so, like, if people are just willing to dive in, like, the tools are here, and you can mostly find lessons for all this stuff online, and I feel like anybody can do it. It is just a lot of intimidation in, like, getting into the new stuff or letting go of what you've built on so far.
So crazy
So
what
yeah,
we
I'm
can
hoping to
collect.
do a bunch of monsters. I want to get into tattooing some monsters, and I have some other ideas, but I really got into this stuff so I could do more biomech, and I haven't played with that at all. I'm too busy right now. Right now I'm trying to get it there's 2 programs, ZBrush and Character Creator, and if you can get them set up together, then you can model your character in a T pose and send it over to Character Creator and have it do any number of poses or dances or facial expressions. And then you send it over to, get painted and send into a rendering image. But this one was done completely in ZBrush, so the render and everything is done in ZBrush. But yeah, getting all the programs to go together, figuring out that you have to split one file into multiple files to get the next program over to work, has been a bit of a headache. But I'm gonna I need to talk out loud about it, and I haven't had anybody that I can talk about this stuff with. So I think that that's kind of the motivation between trying to do a channel, whereas I need to hear myself say this stuff out loud so that I can process what I'm trying to deal with.
Mm-hmm. There's that's one of the main benefits of teaching seminars, and doing the channels is the act of organizing it to getting it out of your head, and then getting it out of your head. And then the next time you go to do something, there's almost no more cutting corners, because you just taught a bunch of people how not to cut that corner.
I've definitely felt that way, where when I'm teaching people, where it's okay, now that I've said it out loud, I have to actually do it. Otherwise they're going to call me on it. And this guy, was probably my last apprentice. Him and the other one before him, they'll call me on my shit all the time. Oh yeah, nice. How do you feel about that thing? And I'm like, well, about the same as always.
Nice. We maybe in a Paradise we could have you up either on the critique panel, or there's also a tattoo shop panel where we're going to have a bunch of shop owners interviewing potential tattooers for either guests or residencies, kind of at the same time. So instead of getting interviewed by one awesome shop owner, you can get interviewed by 4.
Like speed date.
Exactly. Yeah. But awesome. Well, we are right up to the hour. It's fun. It's amazing how quickly time flies. Do you have anything in particular that we should address before we sign off?
Nothing in particular, man. I'm trying to launch Lowbrow Know-How YouTube channel. I have one interview up on there from years ago.
Oh, you do?
With Marcus and Kaya. So that event didn't end up happening because of COVID, but I think hopefully this week I'm going to start putting out a couple of older videos or videos of some older stuff. And then I'm going to get that going and figure out how to split up everything so that I can focus more on specific people with specific interests, I guess.
Awesome. And then if you're interested,
company.
Montana. I'm also typing out a little bit too fast for my own good.
Boom, hit enter.
If you're interested in doing a guest spot, then there's a link right here on the homepage. It says artist onboarding, and you are in a really beautiful spot in Montana.
Yeah, anybody, it's a good vacation spot, and it's on it's on the 90, so anybody traveling across the north, more than welcome.
Awesome. And sweet. And then it's Mickey Schlick. Just do a search in all the spots. And yeah, Fawn, you want to help us with a sign off, and then we could. Oh my lordy! Now that we're doing this on Tuesday at noon, I have my reinventing meetings, so I really do need to sign off. Ha!
Yeah. Well, I'll be coming to you Thursday evening. We'll definitely be on the road still, but we'll be talking about the High Lifestyle show. James and I will be on our way over there. So
awesome. And like I said, let's talk. Because I think you might, if you have space, I might catch a ride with you. Okay. I'm Gabe from Tattoo Now, Computer Geek. Needed just a couple more clients, not too many, but also tattoogathering.com for the event. And then if you're a tattooer or an apprentice, absolutely reinventingthetattoo.com, founded by Guy Aitchison. You should absolutely be subscribing. It's worth every dollar. Anyways, cheers. Thank you very much. And
thank you guys. Have a good one.
Catch up on the future. Okay, now I click the end stream.